Hey, welcome. If you've ever sat down at a chessboard, made that first move, and then just felt that wave of panic, that uh-oh, now what feeling? Well, you are in the right place. Today, we are going to cut through all that noise and demystify the huge, sometimes scary world of chess openings. We're going to give you a clear map for the first, most crucial moves of the game.
You know, for so many players, just hearing the names, the Sicilian, the Ruy Lopez, the Queen's Gambit, it's completely overwhelming. I call it opening overload. And trust me, every single one of us has been there. It causes this paralysis where you're so worried about playing the wrong opening that you can't figure out which one is the right one for you.
But what if I told you it's actually way simpler than that? Let's just cut right through that fog. Because honestly, for most of us, finding your personal opening style all boils down to one single fundamental choice you make on the very first move.
And here it is. This is the great divide in chess. Are you going to push your king's pawn to e4, or are you going to push your queen's pawn to d4? Now, playing 1e4, that usually leads to what we call open games. These are games where the board just blows open, lines are cleared for your pieces, and you can attack early and often. On the other hand, 1d4, that usually leads to closed games. These are all about slow maneuvering, strategy, and fighting for tiny advantages. It's the difference between a knife fight in a phone booth and a long, drawn-out siege.
Okay, so let's walk down that first path, the 1e4 universe. This is for all you players out there who crave action from move 1, who want to get your pieces in the fight and point them straight at the enemy king. Our first stop is one of the oldest, most reliable openings in all of chess, the Italian game. Seriously, think of this as your perfect, friendly guide to the core principles of good, solid, classical chess.
I mean, just look at this position. Every single move makes perfect sense. White plays e4, controls the center. Black says, me too, and plays e5. White develops a knight, attacking the pawn. Black develops a knight, defending it. You see the pattern here, right? White brings out a bishop to a killer square, eyeing Black's weakest point, and Black does the same. This is the gioco piano, the quiet game, and it's basically a masterclass in how to start a game of chess the right way.
And that's really the beauty of the Italian. It just teaches you everything you need to know from the get-go. Get your pieces out fast, control the middle of the board, and castle your king to safety. It is the perfect training ground for anyone who wants to build a rock-solid foundation.
All right, so you've got the basics down with the Italian. What's next? Well, let's level up to the Ruy Lopez, sometimes called the Spanish game. If the Italian is Chess 101, then the Ruy Lopez, this is the Advanced Strategic Seminar.
So the first few moves, they look almost identical to the Italian, but then there's a twist. On move 3, White plays bishop to b5. Now this move doesn't create some huge, obvious threat right away. Nope. Instead, it creates this subtle, nagging, long-term problem for Black. That bishop puts pressure on the knight, which is defending the central pawn. And for the rest of the game, Black is going to have this little voice in the back of their head worrying about that pressure.
And that is the key difference. The Ruy Lopez is for the player who's ready to start thinking 5, 10, even 15 moves down the line. It's all about building up tiny advantages and then slowly, carefully nursing them into a win. There's a reason it's a favorite of world champions.
Okay, but what if you're playing Black against 1e4 and you do not want a quiet strategic game? What if you want to come out swinging and throw a punch right from the start? Well, my friend, then you are looking for the Sicilian Defense.
So White plays 1e4. They're expecting the usual 1.e5. But Black just says nope and slams down 1.c5. Right away, the symmetry of the position is shattered. This is not going to be some mirror image game. Black is basically fighting for the center from the side, from the flank, and it creates a totally unbalanced, chaotic, and unpredictable game. It is a declaration of war on move 1.
The Sicilian is the choice for fighters, period. It leads to these razor-sharp tactical battles where one tiny mistake can be absolutely fatal. It's no surprise that it was the weapon of choice for hyper-aggressive champions like Bobby Fischer and Garry Kasparov. If you're playing Black and your only goal is to win, not draw, but win, the Sicilian is your opening. All right, let's leave that wild world of 1e4 behind for a second and cross the Great Divide to that other big first move, 1d4. This is the path for the patient strategist, the player who enjoys building up pressure slowly, almost like a boa constrictor.
And the undisputed king of all 1d4 openings is the Queen's Gambit.
It is a timeless classic, built on these solid positional ideas that have been tested at the highest levels of chess for more than 100 years.
Now, when you hear the word Gambit, you're probably thinking of some wild, risky sacrifice for a crazy all-out attack. But that's not what this is. Not at all. With the moves 1d4, d5, and then 2c4, White offers up that c-pawn, but not for a quick knockout. It's for a long-term strategic prize, absolute control over the center of the board. And here's the best part. Black can't even hold onto the pawn if they take it. So the Queen's Gambit is just perfect for the methodical planner. The kind of player who enjoys getting an iron grip on the position, just slowly squeezing their opponent until they finally crack under the pressure. It's less about a knockout punch and more about winning by 1,000 tiny cuts.
But now, for our fifth and final opening, it's a defense for Black against 1d4. And it's something else. There's this great quote about it that says, "It's surely not a typical beginner's opening." And that's because this one is for the ambitious player, the gambler. This is the King's Indian defense.
The entire strategy of the King's Indian revolves around this one key idea, the fianchetto. See, Black tucks their bishop away on g7. At first, it looks really passive, kind of stuck behind its own pawns. But it's not passive. It's a hidden sniper aiming all the way down that long diagonal, just waiting for the perfect moment to strike.
And this creates this amazing, dramatic story every time you play it. For a big part of the opening, that bishop on g7 looks completely buried, totally useless. But that is the whole trap. Black lets White build a big, beautiful center, waits patiently, and then, boom, they launch this ferocious pawn storm to tear the position wide open. And all of a sudden, that bad bishop is brought back to life with a bang, becoming the hero of a devastating attack against the White king. It's just an incredible turnaround.
Look, the King's Indian is the very definition of high risk, high reward. You have to be comfortable defending a slightly cramped position, and you absolutely must have the heart of an attacker, ready to risk it all for that checkmating blow. It's dynamic, it's modern, and it is an incredibly exciting way to play chess. So there you have it. 5 legendary openings, 5 completely different styles of play. So who are you? Are you the principled learner, building a solid foundation with the Italian? Are you the strategic thinker, weaving those complex webs in the Ruy Lopez? Maybe you're a fearless brawler with the Sicilian, a patient squeezer with the Queen's Gambit? Or are you a dynamic gambler with the King's Indian?
You know, the great master Philidor once said, "Pawns are the soul of chess." And he was so right. Those tiny choices you make with your pawns in the first few moves, they define the entire character of the game. They set the stage for everything that's to come.
So you have the map now. You know the different paths you can take, but a map is totally useless if you don't take that first step. The only way to truly find your style, to really figure out if you're a brawler or a strategist, is to get out there and play. So the real question isn't what opening you should learn. The real question is, what's your first move going to be? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you want more explainers that cut through the complexity, make sure you subscribe. Now, go play some chess.